So yeah, there I was, helping Rodimus defeat Unicron. I was there when Optimus was resurrected. I was even there when Galvatron was overthrown. But does anybody remember? No. What's your story? I got turned down for Jurassic World, both of them, and Godzilla, both of them. All I get to do is appear in Transformer videos. Don't, funk. Alright, I've heard enough out of you two. Out of here, now. Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. It's time for another Generation 1 Transformers review. We're going to take a look at something that we haven't looked at all. Well, technically we have, but what we looked at before has been a Firecon, the opposite. This is a Sparkabot. Specifically, this is Fizzle. Fizzle would be released in 1988, and he would only be available in that year, being discontinued in 1989, and we would not get a replacement for him in his function as a military strategist. Now, of course, as a Sparkabot, Fizzle would be one of the low-cost Transformers on the market. And he has a gimmick, like the Firecons that were also released that same year. He is a spark-shooting Transformer. When he's in his alternate mode, you build up friction with this wheel here in between his legs, and it will shoot sparks out the exhaust pipes of his alternate mode. Now, of course, articulation-wise, he's hardly got any. It's all located in his arms. Of course, his arms are on here pretty stiff, so it does take some effort. But they only go back about so far because the wheels get in the way. And they can be brought back, again, about so far. So he's pretty limited on what he can do, and he doesn't come with a weapon of sorts. So I guess he just gets to stand there and punch out his opponents. To transform Fizzle, that's a simple matter. We'll start by taking this rear piece behind his head, fold it up, and snap it into place on his head. I'm going to push his arms back a little ways so that we can squeeze the legs together. Then his arms rest down and connect to a little post that's just visible there near the rear wheels. And there is Fizzle in his alternate mode. He's a racing car. Of course, to a lot of us growing up, he kind of resembled a Formula One Indy car. Of course, his tech spec also kind of pokes fun at the potential that he is a Formula One racing car. The More Than Meets the Eye guidebooks list him as an off-road racing car. Probably due to the fact that he has the closed canopy here, which a Formula One does not have a closed canopy for its driver. So either way, it's kind of really hard to determine exactly what he's intended to be. especially since the alternate mode is a little more stylized, so it's not meant to look like an actual realistic one, because copyrights. But at any rate, now that we got him in this mode, let's see if we can get him to do his spark shooting gimmick. Well, first of all, how does he roll as a car? Rolls fair. It's mainly due to the fact that the wheel that's giving more contact with the ground is the friction wheel down here. You just got to get it going good. And let's see if we can. Whoops. Try it with the other hand here. Come on. We'll see if we can do it hand-powered. Nope, we ain't getting it, folks. This one must be... Nope, maybe we might be getting something here. Yeah, we are getting something. Thumb burn. Okay, it doesn't work on him. Common affliction. I do want to let all of you know I did take him out into my kitchen counters and tried to run him along there to see if we can get some spark action. And we did get some, but it's more comparable to saying that you have a super soaker gun, and when you go to squeeze the trigger, basically all you get is a little squip like a regular squirt gun has. So basically, it really was not worth showing you that pathetic display. Since Fizzle here doesn't have any loose parts, we can go ahead and show you his card art. As you can see, this card is in very good shape. This one was apparently sold at a Sprouse Right store, and he retailed for about $4. It's got a nice picture of him here, and here it says, transforms from sparking race car to robot and back, with flame shooting action, and of course it labels him down here as a Sparkabot. And of course, why just show you one card when I can show you two cards? This is a European release, which is more than likely in French and Dutch. Although we take a look here at some of the mentionings here on the side. We got here Milton Bradley International in Holland. Can't quite make out where all this is intended to be, but down here at the bottom is definitely in French. But as you can see, looking at the both of them side by side, everything is more or less the same. There's just the extra text running along the edges for the international release. But all in all, it is a nice thing to compare, especially when I'm lucky enough to have them. We turn them around, though, and you can see marketable differences for how they are on the backside. Get Fizzle out of the way here so we can see everything. The American one has a larger picture for the mural and larger pictures for the instructions, and even a larger robot point. And the barcode is, of course, on the bottom For the European one, the barcode is up here at the top. We have a much smaller cutout area for the robot point, a smaller mural, and smaller instructions. In my opinion, and this is only my opinion, folks, I think this could have been blown up a little bit, or they could have blown up the instructions a little bit. I kind of don't like this blank space here. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion, not me being an arrogant American who thinks he knows better. It's just an opinion. I think that would have looked better. It just seems that's a waste. And of course, we also got a much bigger tech spec, since it has the full bio in 2 languages. Got quite a few tech specs that are like that. It's the nice thing about being an oddball collector like myself. Anyway, let's take a look here at the instructions on the American card. You can see it demonstrates to you how you would have gotten the flames and then how to transform him. And then you can see the robot points. He was worth half a point. Turn him over to the side. It's all done up in red to show he's an Autobot, even lists Autobot as his faction. It shows the same picture of him that's on the front of the card. It gives his name as Fizzle, and his function is military strategist. His motto is, planning a battle is 10 times more important than fighting it. Overloads his circuits with grandiose schemes and cheap fuel. Acts as if his true worth is measured not by what he does, but how much he talks about doing it. If he could run on his own hot air, he'd go forever. In car mode, leaves trails of flame in his path. Capable of going from 0 to 200 in 8 seconds. Prone to stalling on left turns. There's the reference of him being a Formula 1 car, since, as was once mentioned in an ad for the Indianapolis 500 Museum, the way to get there, drive fast, turn left. Possesses superior logistics and geographical databanks. And now we'll put the decoder here over the grid. As you can see, this is a little bit large. Why they did that, I do not know. Anyway, it gives his strength as 6. His intelligence is 8. You'd think he'd know better than to drink cheap Energon. His speed is 6. His endurance is 2. His rank is 6, as is his courage. His firepower is 1. And his skill is 8. So, basically, when he's not intoxicated, he can do his job. I mean, we'll take a look here briefly at the European version. As you can see, it's more or less the same. And we'll put this on here, and let's take a look. And it does look like that the statistics do come out to being roughly about the same as they are on the American one. So, nice to see that nothing changed on that, but you never know. Now we get down to my thoughts. What do I think of Fizzle? Fizzle's certainly a character. That much is for sure. The More Than Meets the Eye guidebook suggests that the cheap Energon that he usually ends up drinking turns out to make him highly intoxicated. So he usually ends up spouting off about various battles and such that he's participated in, or what he would have done had he been there at the battle. And thus, once he's recovered from the hangover and realizes just what kind of a fool he's made of himself, feels bad about it. But unfortunately, that doesn't stop him from doing it again. So he's definitely a tough nut to crack of his vices. As a toy, I'm going to put him barely into the middle tier, folks, and that's a stretch even for me to put him in. But I give it to him more due to the fact that he does have a high skill set for his function. And military strategists were not very common amongst the Autobots. Well, I should take that back. The Autobots did have 3, with him being the 3rd. Prowl was the first one to be it, and the time Prowl was taken off the market, we got Grotusk, who surprisingly was better than Prowl at it, and then once Grotusk was taken off the market, we got Fizzle. And since Fizzle is kind of the cheap one out of all 3 of them, if you're really looking for a military strategist, this was probably the one most of us had. Especially if your parents didn't buy you a lot of the more expensive Transformers, and that I can relate to. The only time I got expensive Transformers was the holidays, and usually then it was a combiner component so I could build the giant robot. So I guess I shouldn't complain about it too much. Unfortunately, though, everything else about the toy is pretty terrible. You got little articulation on the arms, and that's about it. And the spark shooting gimmick, it's pretty dumb. I never liked it, and even after all these years, I still don't. And that concludes my review of the Generation 1 Autobot Military Strategist Fizzle. If you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you'll be noticed so that you can join our ranks, and ring the notification bell so you'll be alerted to future videos. Please also share your thoughts about Fizzle, or Larry there behind him, in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying, while Fizzle and Larry go look for another place to inebriate themselves, I'm saying we'll catch you all later.